Fix it in post. Today we're talking about my 5 favorite techniques to do in post-production to make my videos that much better. Now, everybody says don't fix it in post, fix it beforehand, but the reality is you are gonna have to fix things in post-production. It's just something that we face as filmmakers. Number 1 is Cinemascope. Now, my favorite thing is widescreen in videos, and maybe I put it into too many videos, but I love the look of like the 2:3:5 aspect ratio in videos, and it's a really quick thing that you can add into your movie to make it look that much more cinematic. Now, widescreen, you can't use it for everything, but you can utilize it to make things look more cinematic. So Cinemascope, also known as widescreen or 2:3:5, can be achieved in your editing software of choice, mine being Premiere Pro CC. You wanna go into your sequence settings, mine saying 1920 by 1080. Now you're gonna go to the 1080 section and change it from 1080 to 816. And if we go back to our project file, we're gonna see that it goes from looking like this to looking more like this. And we shrink down and we have that more of a widescreen look. Now you can achieve this by also applying a Cinemascope PNG file onto your footage. So essentially you can go online, I have the description and the links below, you can download a Cinemascope PNG and you can drag and drop it over top of your footage, scale it to fit, and you'll get something that looks like this. Okay, now going on to the footage side of things, we're gonna talk about color grading. Now color grading can take your footage looking completely like vomit and flat to something that looks really beautiful. And for me, color grading is like what makes a movie look more like a movie. So we've applied our 2:3:5 aspect ratio. Let's take our visuals to the next level. So we're going to apply a color correction onto our footage. Now, luckily, if you have Premiere Pro CC, you can use the Lumetri presets, which we'll talk a little bit more about in future episodes. But you can either drag and drop those on, and if you're not using Premiere Pro, most editing softwares have a color corrector, levels, curves. So we're gonna apply that onto our footage, and the first thing that we wanna do is sort of create a tone to the video. So let's say you're going for something more cinematic. We'll start adjusting the levels so that we get this. And the biggest thing that you want to do is boost up the contrast. A lot of video cameras nowadays shoot things very flat and very raw looking. Even stuff that's shot on your iPhone can have the contrast boosted a little bit, and that's going to give you a quicker cinematic look. While we're applying the color grades, let's apply a quick sharpening filter to our footage as well. Again, a lot of cameras these days shoot things very flat, and especially if you're shooting on a higher end camera, you're going to get a very flat image, and they are designed to add sharpening to your footage. And we're going to raise it depending on the camera that you're shooting on. Let's say you're shooting on a DSLR, you only want to raise it up to about 16. Now, if you're shooting on something like an Alexa or like an FS7, you can drag it all the way up to closer to 30, 40, or 50. Number 4 is vignettes. Now, vignettes are another really quick thing that you can apply to your footage. Again, luckily in Premiere Pro CC, we have Lumetri presets that has it included within that effect. Now we go into the side with our Lumetri presets, slide the vignette tool a little bit to the left as you can see the vignettes coming into footage. If you don't have Lumetri presets, the quickest way you can do it in your editing software is put a black video over top of your entire footage. Create a circular mask around that black. Then invert that black, soften it by feathering the edges incredibly, and then we're gonna lower the opacity down to about 15. Now, the whole philosophy that I have with applying these filters is to make the audience's eyes draw into your footage so they're not distracted by all these things. 2:3:5 allows the audience's eyes to be focused on what's going on in the center, and using something like a vignette draws your audience's eyes into the middle. A lot of higher end productions use vignettes to make the audience focus on certain things subliminally. So let's say you have a shot of someone standing in an interview set. You would add a vignette around your characters so that the eyes are more focused on me as opposed to the things in the background. And tip number 5 is probably one of the most crucial ones that applies to all of the other ones, which essentially is adding a certain flow or consistency to all of these effects. So let's say you did apply a 2:3:5 aspect ratio to your one shot, you want to make sure that you apply to all of the shots. Same goes with a color grade, and same goes with the audio fixing. If it's only to one shot, that's going to stand out more than applying it to any of them. Film is all about making your audience forget that they're in watching a movie. You want to make them feel like they're just viewing into a certain person's reality. And if they can see these technical flaws, they're going to realize that they're watching a movie and they're going to be taken away from the experience. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Now, those are my 5 techniques of adding And those are my 5 techniques of making your video that much better in post-production. Now, those are not the be-all, end-all things that you can apply, but if you're working under a tight deadline, let's say a client is breathing over your neck, those are some quick things that you can apply to your video really quickly to make it look from 10% to 100%. Thank you so much for watching. You guys can check out previous episodes in the description below. You guys can also rate, comment, and subscribe. If you guys have any ideas for future episodes for the show, write them down there and I'll hope to be able to make them.